farmer set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you want a rocket twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They forcing misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news anchors informant to informing them there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this reporting ships important. Yes, of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were storing tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? In a world where the crazy psychopathic powers that shouldn't be, they know a lot more truth than some may care to acknowledge. And I threw the disclaimer up there. In fact, let me do it again. Caution. This stream is known to cause gammas to spiral. So just, you might be in the wrong saloon if you can't handle some unfiltered truth here. But hopefully the volume's working good. What's up, familia? Yeah, so we're going to get into something pretty crazy. I find it very intriguing, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And like I said, we're in the process of things being revealed. We're learning a bunch of things that maybe we didn't previously know or even consider. And you should ask yourself, 33 watching, Illuminati confirmed, you should ask yourself, why are these like Gnostic esoteric groups able to get some of the most powerful, rich, intelligent people in the world in on the game, if you will, right? In their little occultic practice. I'm going to read off some of the donations to get them caught up. Oh, and then just to get this out of the way. So I was on Discord. I was talking to Ranty. Many of you know Ranty, previously known as Ranty Flat Earth. And we were discussing doing a debate, and I started, I guess, maybe unfounded. I started throwing some accusations at him about something that happened back in the day and accused him of stealing and taking money from this stream where people were donating to this girl, and he took them or whatever. And really, I just had secondhand information about it. I didn't really know much about it at all. I didn't keep up with it at the time. I don't really keep up with drama, to be honest. I was just trying to make a point that I thought was funny. But anyway, so I want to just throw this out here. I don't actually know that that's true, that he actually stole the money. Apparently, he went to court and they said that he didn't. And so I don't really like throwing unfounded accusations out or slandering someone. And that's a pretty serious accusation, right? Of someone like being a thief and stealing from someone. And using the kindness of the community so that you could have your own personal monetary gain. So I will say that I sincerely apologize for we're really discussing something I shouldn't have. I don't really know much about it. I just got secondhand information. So as far as I know, he didn't steal the money. I don't really know that he did or anything. So I actually do kind of feel bad about like just putting him on blast on the internet saying that he stole money when the truth is I actually don't know that. So I sincerely apologize for that, because I don't like when people make up stuff about me and I don't want to do it to other people. So there you go. Now that we got that out of the way, we have a tentative debate, actually, him and I, next Saturday, I think it is. But I'll keep you updated on that. And now that that's out of the way, we are discussing duality. And like I said a second ago, if you heard me, oftentimes some of these esoteric Gnostic groups, they actually know a lot more about the truth than we may want to believe, right? We sit here and we realize, well, they lied about the earth. They said it's a magic cartoon ball that defies physics and all this stuff. And we came to the realization they lied about the nature of where we live. We came to the realization they lied about synthetic medicine, and the Federal Reserve is a fiat currency Ponzi scheme, and a bunch of the wars are questionable, we'll say. And so we kind of pride ourselves in being part of the truth community. And we think, okay, well, there's this, we would typically call them Luciferian, Gnostic group of people that are pretty psychopathic, that tend to think they have the right to run the world and rule over us, which, by the way, Jehovah told us, no, you don't need a king. No, that's not how this works. But you know how humans are. They just always think they know more than the creator. But anyway, so we kind of look at it from this perspective of these people are stupid, right? And they don't really know what they're talking about. They're just operating out of fleshly desire, or they want money and power and fame, and they're just kind of like trapped in this cycle. And not that isn't true, but I think sometimes that we don't really give them as much credit as we should. I want you to know that the foundation of their Gnostic doctrines actually stem from very true things, and they understand a lot about how reality works. And they've done a very good job with this meticulously crafted propaganda effort to where we don't know anything about it. They've detached us from these truths. They've infiltrated the movements of truth so that they misrepresent the story, misrepresent the information. And we're just kind of like crawling our way back up, trying to piece it together. And that's why I always say there's no like shame in not knowing things. Actually, one of the most intelligent things you can do at times is acknowledging what you don't know. So I would say intelligence is the efficient acknowledgement of what cannot be known. Because if you actually try to continue to know something you can't, then really you're going to be not productive at all. So this requires humility, as does this entire time of things being revealed. There's my preface for you guys. I gave you the disclaimer. So it is what it is, okay? We've already kind of slaughtered some sacred cows the last few days, and really typically this channel does this all the time. That's why I'm heavily censored. They keep striking me for stupid stuff anyway, because we're going to cut through some of the cookie cutter representations of the truth community when really people are scared to talk about some of this stuff. So just put your big boy pants on. We're going to get into it. Awesome hoodie. Thank you. I hope it helps, brother. Just sharing the love. Shabbat shalom, dear brother, and to all my brothers and sisters. Thank you, Anthony, for the support. You're always A1, my homie, and it's much appreciated. Everything does help. Of course, the growlers take 1/3 of YouTube, but it's all good. I'm going to get caught up on the donations. Actually, that reminded me real fast. So Chavez for Yah bless, saw a vid about Babylon Tower. Sweet. Thank you very much for the support. Glad you enjoyed it, and the support's much appreciated. For the Masquerade Tour, thank you very much, Tracy, for the donation on Cash App. It's appreciated. Everything helps us with the tour expenses, and if you've been keeping up, I'm all in. So the people that donate to me know that I'm trustworthy with the funds. That's what it's going to, is the tour. And yes, it is continuing. And yes, we're going to have more specific dates outlined with specific locations after I finally get the whole ordeal with my house wrapped up. John, thank you for the donation on Cash App for, can you talk about your necklace and where I can get one? Yeah, I just know I typed in like men's Tree of Life necklace with a magnet on Amazon, and it was like 20 something bucks. It's got a little magnet on it. It's a Tree of Life. So that's the best way I know to suggest it. Tree of Life necklace with magnet for men on Amazon. Because your heart doesn't just pump blood, it's actually electromagnetic field, and you have electromagnetic aura. Wade with the very, very generous donation. Thank you very, very much, bro. That helps a ton. And for Yah has been calling me to support you. Keep planting seeds. Will do. Got to. Doing the Father's work. And really is appreciated, man. It means a lot. Thank you for that. Let me double check over here on PayPal. I don't think we have anything to read. Oh, through the Masquerade Tour link, which I'm gonna get back on top of the Masquerade website, guys. Yeah, we're gonna get into the gravy, but we're gonna handle some housekeeping first. Let some people get in here. But thank you for the support on PayPal, Colin. It's much appreciated. Kanya Grow, which I might have already read. Love the gravy. Glad you enjoyed. Thank you very much for the support. It's greatly appreciated. You guys are the best. And I think we're caught up. So any donations that are sent during the stream, I'll read them at the end of the stream. And then any donations sent after the stream or in between this stream and the next one, then I'll read them at the beginning of the next one. You guys know how it goes. All right, so now that we got all that out of the way, I'm going to show you a quick little video to kind of give you a visual depiction of duality. Duality is within everything, and I mean literally everything. We talked about Hashemayim, the unseen existences, oftentimes defined as heaven, right? Well, heaven's all around you, and it's the unseen existences, vibration, frequency, energy, etc. Not as if they're different things, but different modalities of the same thing. It's all around you, and it's not seen or perceivable within the material spectrum, but it's still there. And they understand this, and they understand that it all exists intrinsically with a inherent duality, right? This is a key to their Gnostic practice. So they have to achieve duality, overcome duality. I don't know if overcome is really the best word, but it's just really achieve it, right? Like fully understand and achieve duality, master duality, right? That's the entire idea. So you have like the sacred geometry, and you have hot, cold, water, fire, just a duality, okay? Duality in all things. So we're gonna play this video, and just to get a visual of what they know. This is all around you. This is a visual of how the world works in the unseen existences. If I can get there. Oh yeah. Didn't even really know what that song was gonna be like, but it was pretty cool. All right, so there you go. There's a visual representation of duality, right? So you don't see magnetism to the naked eye, but it's always there. And what is magnetism? We talked about it. Magnetism, dielectricity in the coherent form, and the hybrid is electricity. Everything's technically magnetic, but sometimes things are incoherent magnetic or incoherent magnetism. And they just teach you that there's only one type, and that's coherent magnetism. Anyway, so whenever you use Ferro cell imaging, you can basically see the movement within this unseen existence, or some call it the ether, the background medium. All you're really seeing is the movement within it, and the Ferro cell helps you to isolate that. So that's an idea of the duality within energy that's all around you and always present. And they know this duality is there, and the entire idea being that you have to be able to master it. Let me read this. I saw a pretty cool comment. I think this is a quote from someone. I don't know where this quote comes from, Mr. Anderson, but I'm going to read it. Possessing critical, inquisitive minds, we are the servants of Satan. You, the guardians of truth, are the servants of God. These two complement one another. Each needs the other. Of course, Satan being opposition. Anything in opposition to Yah, Jehovah, his will. So you can be Satan. You can be Satan. Anything in opposition. That's what it actually means. But there you go. Within that Gnostic belief, I think that would be more of a surface level there. I don't think they actually make a conscious decision to think that they can wage war and overcome the one true creator. I think that we were kind of discussing this earlier. I think that maybe they believe that he put us here in this little limited form and he doesn't want us to fully understand our power, because once we rein in our actual power, our metaphysical capabilities, that we would basically be as strong as him and he could effectively do nothing to prevent us from whatever we wanted to do. So they think once they acquire this state of mastering duality, then they're basically untouchable. I don't think that they actually think they can wage war against the creator and win necessarily. But who knows what these psychopaths think. But we do have to kind of step back and open our eyes and think that it's probably a little deeper than just, hey, bro, murder some babies, you can be famous. I don't think that's all there is to it. I did see someone ask me, Austin, I heard you say God came from Gadriel. Can you give me a link on that? I believe is what you said. Well, according to Enoch, the one that deceived was Gadriel. I'm not necessarily, it doesn't really matter. I'm really starting to learn a lot about the idea of these entities that cause us to do bad things, and mainstream Christianity has basically propped this idea up so you don't have any personal responsibility for your own wrongdoings. And we're about to get into that a little bit. And I'm just going to scratch the surface on it. I'm still learning, I'm still studying, but I do think it's very interesting gravy that you guys should hear. All right, so there you go. We got all that. Now I'm going to share screen real fast to show you this verse that's going to get us started. Here we go. And if you don't know, this is an app called eSword, which is super cool. And I definitely suggest it. It's got all kinds of different translations, etc. But of course, we have the classic KJV right here, I think. This might actually be the scriptures version. That's what this is. This is the scriptures version. KJV gives you the same situation that we're going to discuss. But so Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Elohim, I'm not going to get too much into this, but Elohim is plural. And basically, you can look at it like during the creation account, just say, for intents and purposes, there's little different versions of the creator everywhere making everything, right? It's a plurality in one, if that makes sense. That's a whole nother stream, though. 5:2, male and female, he created them. He blessed them and called their name Adam. This is what I want you to focus on. So even the KJV, I know a lot of you guys are just obsessed with just the KJV, even though it's got so many errors that would be 15 streams. Here you go. It doesn't matter. Use whatever version you want to. Definitely, when you go back to the Hebrew, that's why it's translated like this, is what it's showing you is actually a plural possessive pronoun, and it's referring, or not possessive, but a plural pronoun referring to Adam. Right, so male and female, he created them and he blessed them and he called their name Adam, right, in the day that they were created. So I'm going to just kind of take you down this thought process, and I hope you guys are going to follow me here because it's pretty deep. So when you're looking at the Hebrew etymology of the words, and maybe Jack and I can cover this more in depth when it comes to the Hebrew etymology in one of the Shabbat streams, but basically we've always been told this story of Adam was created, he's in the garden, and the truth is, actually, if you read the scripture, just go read them again, go read them for yourself. That's the whole point that we've been trying to break through to you and get you to do. Well, he actually took Adam and placed him into the garden, so he wasn't in there. He had to take him and put him in the garden. But anyway, we've always been told that like Adam's in the garden and he gets a rib pulled out of him and he makes a female. The female wanders off and talks to a snake, and the snake tricks Eve into eating of the fruit. And then she comes back and convinces Adam to eat the fruit. Now, when you actually look at the Hebrew words, we get a bit of a different story here, right? Because what you need to know is in Hebrew, clearly the most beautiful language that there is, even though the modern use of it is the Babylonian cuneiform, of course, is not what it actually is. We have Paleo before that, which is what Torah would have been written in. And then we have an even more pictographic representation of the ancient Hebrew before that. So trying to learn Hebrew is effectively, to really do it, you have to learn 3 languages in a way. It's pretty wild. But anyway, so what you have to do is you have to use the Hebrew, and you actually have to look at the context to know which use of that word is applying to that verse, right? Because there's numerous different meanings. We kind of have this in English, but it's such a wizardry language. We have too many words for the same thing, right? It's not like that in Hebrew. You have one word, and then you actually have to apply contextual understanding to understand what it's saying. So when you look at the word that people translate to mean like the serpent, right? Well, actually, it is also a word that could be used for basically intuition or to divine something, right? So to divine something. So in a way, it clearly shows you as a possibility in the Hebrew etymology that this was a deception that was basically in oneself. Okay, so let's just use for intents and purposes of like the English language that we've all been, had the spell cast on us with. Basically, you have your subconscious and your conscious, and say your conscious, like whenever you're making a decision, you shouldn't do, especially for those who have actually surrendered to the will of the Father and they try to adhere to the Torah and they're trying to learn and cut out sin and repent, etc. Whenever you're tempted with something, basically what happens is in your own mind, you're trying to weigh out exactly what you're going to do. You're going to justify it one way or the other. You're going to know you shouldn't do it, but you're going to figure out a way if you can bend it and twist it and justify it. You're going back and forth in your own mind, right? Well, say that basically you have the subconscious capability of having information, then your conscious mind knowing what you're supposed to do is arguing with it. That's kind of a rough analogy here. It's not the most applicable, I don't think, but it's decent. So using the Hebrew, it could be argued, and I think very convincingly, in fact, because of the way that everything works in context, that she actually thought of this herself. Okay, thought of this deception herself, and because it says she looked at the tree and saw that it would make her wise, etc. Well, how did she, it says she knew these things. The serpent didn't come and tell her this tree is going to make you wise. She said she looked at it and she knew, right? And then anyway, that's a whole other stream. I don't want to get too much into the depth of that because the actual point here is that I showed you, and I'll pull it back up on the screen. It says right here, male and female, he created them and he blessed them and called their name Adam or Adam in the day that they were created. Okay, called their name Adam. Okay, so basically I was thinking earlier and I was like, okay, you know how the crazy psychopaths that think that they're special and they try to run the world or really pretty much successfully do run the world, they love this guy right here. So you see the depiction, you've all seen it before. This transgender Baphomet looking crazy thing. Okay, this just goes back into the conquering of duality. So basically conquering good and evil, dark and light, male and female even, okay? And this is why, for example, the people that came out with the Matrix, if you saw my Matrix Decoded stream, I explained to you actually, this entire movie is not about what you think it is, and the good guys are the bad guys are supposed to be the good guys, and they flipped it on its head. That's the way that I decoded it. But anyway, the point is that the people that came out with that movie, you can actually see there's an undertone of that movie that's pretty slick, that is the feminization of Neo, even starting with the opening scene where he's listening to like some Britney Spears song or something, okay? It's actually just telling you about the combination of the duality of gender. And these people that made this movie actually came out and then they became transgender. It's a very esoteric movie. It's deeper than most people think. They cracked the code, but most people didn't at all because they don't even realize that the entire character group is flipped. But anyway, so my point is that within these esoteric Gnostic circles, the mastering of duality, even when it extends to gender, is a huge deal, and they literally depict it that way. They show you, right? Okay, that this is the mastering of the duality of gender right here, and we've all seen it. So this is where it gets pretty crazy, right? So their name was Adam. Okay, so basically, was our current interpretation of male and female actually a thing prior to the separation? Because actually the scriptures seem to insinuate that that wasn't the case, right? And so basically there was a perfect metaphysical combination of the duality of gender, right? And in the original form pre-fall, it wasn't a separation of gender, okay? And actually if you look at it a little deeper, when it says he took his rib, well, really it just took a part of the structure. It wasn't, what kind of structure was it? Was it a metaphysical structure prior to the fall that we then have this fleshly structure that has cell degradation and bleeds, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, so it's this entire metaphysical entity, right? And it actually has the capability of reproduction. So it says, be fruitful, multiply. Now this is before he tells Eve, as people know it, that she will actually increase in conception and, birth pain. So to increase, they still had to be capable of reproduction prior to that to make an increase, but it is different. And actually, Adam names her according to the fact that she now bears the responsibility of reproduction. That's actually what in Hebrew, what the name means. So it's not like, oh, you're so pretty, Eve, and that wasn't her name. I'm going to name you according to that. It was basically like he was pissed off and like, okay, now look, you now have the responsibility of reproduction because of what has happened, right? Like what you did. But basically they were one in the same, and it tells you that right there. It's right in front of our faces this whole time. But they told you this whole fairy tale story. No one actually read Genesis. They just listened to their church preacher tell them what happened in Genesis. They've seen cartoons and movies with a snake that talks, and this idea that there was just immediately a male and a female in the garden. The snake comes and talks to the female when she ducked off from Adam and then got tricked and deceived and beguiled, which is a whole different thing. Genesis is such a rabbit hole, it's insane. But basically the word that's supposedly used for beguiled or deceived can actually mean to lift up or to gift, right? So just the word that we also get, that's one letter away from NASA. So they lift up and deceive, right? So it's a totally grabbled situation from the very jump, is my point. The account creation, when you get to the Torah and you look at the beginning, it's all been grabbled. This is because this is the truth. It's very powerful, and they had to flood it down with all kinds of misinterpretations and muddy the water so you can't understand what's really going on. Anyway, here's the point here, right? They know that they've grabbled the actual interpretation of the original Hebrew manuscripts and the actual story, and that pre-fall, in our perfect, enlightened, metaphysical state before we fell, right, there was the mastering of duality, all in one metaphysical combination. They believe that through these different practices and rituals and secrets, that they will be able to acquire that enlightened metaphysical state that literally masters the duality of gender. Okay, this is why that they're obsessed with it. So if you're following me, they think that they have these secrets in their Gnostic practices that they've passed down, that they'll basically be able to get to the original Adam state, once again, mastering duality in an enlightened esoteric sense. So as you can see here, they're not just some crazy people that just want to mutilate themselves. They have like a decently sound foundation of knowledge here that's guiding their behavior. They're actually trying to imitate the original perfect human, the perfect metaphysical state prior to the fall. They think they can actually acquire that again and achieve it again. And I encourage everyone to look at the Hebrew themselves. That's why I'm here telling you guys this. All right. So that's pretty crazy. We all got to admit. And if you really sit back and think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And it tells you right there, their name was Adam. It tells you a plural form, and it gives you the singular name of Adam. So I thought that was pretty crazy. And if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense with how they've mastered duality with everything. And I broke down a few times on my stream different kinds of ways that they throw this in plain sight. They typically use sacred geometry, right? They use different shapes, and they show you that it goes all the way back to the quote-unquote Aryans, and it goes back to Atlantis, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all about mastering duality constantly. Fire, water, ice, or like cold, hot. It's always duality. Good, evil, light, dark. And this is why oftentimes it's misinterpreted that like there's just this occultic group of Satanists that are evil, and they make pentagrams with candles, and then they murder babies or whatever. I don't know that they don't do that. It does appear that certainly a lot of them do, but they're not just that. Okay, they actually know that there's a dark and a light path. You have to conquer both. Okay, and so that's where you get what's called the Luciferian doctrine, and it does appear to have a lot of logic in the application that, well, they think that collectively they are Lucifer, that they have a collective consciousness that's super powerful, and that they themselves are Lucifer. It's an idea of enlightenment, and then they point to the sun because it's the symbolic idea of the ultimate peak of enlightenment and understanding. Collectively, they are Lucifer. They're Luciferians. They love the owl because you can see in the dark, right? Because they can see what others cannot see. It's all about this special group of people that are enlightened, and they exist and are able to travel and traverse within this astral plane, as some would call it, the metaphysical, the unseen existences. That's very real. It doesn't not exist, and they're actually able to traverse it. They're able to traverse it quite efficiently over the years of dropping down this Gnostic knowledge through their lineage, and that's why they're incestuous, to keep it to themselves, right? And so they basically know this gigantic truth that's right in front of everyone, but they know that majority of people don't know it. It took a long time for them to get us to where we don't know it, though. And this is where the heliocentric globe lie has a lot to do with it, because it told you you're a tiny speck of dust, everything came from nothing, and nothing extends outside the material world. You couldn't even actually logically entertain that option if you knew what the earth truly was a geocentric stationary plane, because it has to be the center of everything. And then what's actually causing the movement? There has to be a movement within the ether, the background medium, the unseen existence, Hashemayim, all around you, right? It's all around you, and it has this movement, and it's cyclical. But now you think that just everything is coalesced by your little deity. When atheists that believe in this, they have a deity, they call it gravity, right? And it coalesced random, compilations of rock and matter into perfect spheres over billions of years, and it goes around the heliocentric model around Helios, right, which is all about sun worship. And they were able to cast this deception onto you and build upon that, telling you that there's nothing that extends beyond the material world. And then, of course, we've already explained, with the Michael Morley, we actually explained this in the last stream, that they didn't get the expected phase shift with the perpendicular light rays. This is just modern history, by the way. Like, this was known for a long time, but they expect there to be an ether, right? Because sound waves, what are they propagating through? If it's an electromagnetic wave, it has to be propagating through a medium. So they just assumed and knew there was an ether, as did the very person that gave you the electric grid that you use to this day, by the way. And so they found out, well, no, the Earth can't be spinning and revolving, and it had this etheric background medium. So instead of acknowledging, obviously, the Earth isn't spinning, they kept it. This has evolved into the materialistic confinement of subatomic particles and all this other nonsense. This is because it can only be in the material world. So it has to be there even though you can't see it. It has to be limited to the material physical confinement. And people actually think like this and believe like this. And this is why you have quote-unquote atheists, which is a positive affirmation. There is no creator. There isn't a real atheist out there. At best, you're an agnostic. But they actually think that's a viable option. They think that's a viable worldview. And this has resulted in apathy or not a nihilistic worldview where nothing matters except for this life. And as long as you can stay alive, conquer everything that you can't hear, because when you die, then nothing happens. And then lightning struck primordial soup, and inorganic matter turned into organic life, and all this other nonsense, abiogenesis, and then rocks turned into humans, and then that's after, okay, if rocks turned into amino acids that turned into a perfect cell, that turned into a fish that crawled out and grew legs, and then turned into a rat, that turned into an ape, that turned into a human, and everything just materialistic confinement of billions of years of random happenstance. But the primary reason for all these deceptions, which just compound on one another, and then they use people's intellect to actually build up their own fairy tale story and put band-aids on it as they go, is so you don't understand some of the big overarching premises, which is that everything is encompassed in with a duality, right? And so you have the frequency, vibration, energy that we discussed that's all around you. If you're able to know this, tap into this, conquer this, if you will, fully rein it in, use it to your own capabilities, well, then you're much more of a threat. You're not easy to control, right? But the truth is, by the way, you're not supposed to take a shortcut. We're given like a list of instructions that actually help you rein this in, and it's going to be given to you when you can be trusted with that responsibility. So taking all this in and thinking about it, I know that was a lot. We now have an entire new perspective of what has happened in the garden. Okay, we have an entire new perspective of what is actually going on. And this requires like swallowing your pride, stepping back, and re-examining everything. I'm going to check the chat out in a second. I didn't really want to read it while I was speaking. And then if you think about everything I just said, I'll end it with this before I read the chat. Basically, it makes a lot of sense that this fruit would be a psychedelic of some sort. This is just what I think, because it's basically showing you into this realm, giving you this metaphysical understanding, now you're enlightened. And if anyone's experimented with it, which I do not suggest that you do if you haven't, that's basically what the idea is. That's what the deception that's cast onto you is. Only it's chaotic. You're in a state of confusion. You don't know what's going on. You're basically wandering around bewildered. Okay, and that's effectively what has happened in this story, in my opinion. Now, I don't know that's what it was. I can't tell you. That's pure speculation. But what we do know is that there is a plural pronoun used to describe Adam with a singular name. Okay, and then post-fall, we now have two separate entities. One of them bear the responsibility of reproduction and childbearing. Okay, so this is a totally different story. Now understand that this is why they're obsessed with the duality of gender, because they think that they literally think, and again, very founded scripturally, they literally think that the perfect metaphysical state that originally existed before the fall was a combination mastering the duality of gender metaphysically. Okay, so that's what they're trying to attain. And I think personally that they think once they can acquire that state, that then, what can you do? Now we have our full power. The creator can't really do anything to us. He just doesn't want us to get to that. So it's the same trick it always was, which is, well, you'll be propped up or lifted up to a deity-like status. And at that point, you can't be messed with by the creator, because you got the secret, you got the trick, and he just doesn't want you to know that, because then he can't control you. Now, this is the only reason I think that they can actually bring some of these intelligent people in and give them some semblance of an intelligent foundation to get them in these Gnostic beliefs. And of course, this comes with power and all kinds of stuff in the material world as well. So basically, if you're going to sacrifice your flesh in this current material life, then you will be given all kinds of power metaphysically, ultimately. And actually, you'll still be... the truth is that it's the instructions are here for you to prosper now and to have a beautiful, happy life now. But the point is, they think they can get both, right? They can have their cake and eat it too, effectively. They can get whatever they want, satisfying the flesh, but with these little secrets and these little tricks and this little Gnostic knowledge, they can also get the metaphysical power where they can extend outside of the limitation of the flesh and still have the gift of the metaphysical in the end. Okay, so if everyone kind of follow that, that's where I'm at right now. I encourage everyone to look into it a little deeper. But it's pretty wild if you really think about it. So if you got any questions, hit me up in the chat. I'll go up and see what you guys are talking about. Hopefully we don't have too much spiraling going on. Atheists don't believe in themselves. Yeah, there's no such thing as real atheists. He can't help it, Rico. He's on an autopilot. Oh, slow down. Yeah, sorry, I can't help it. That's guys, are you new to the channel? Nice show far, Austin. I got one in my house that I blow on the appointed times. Very fulfilling.
I already told him it was mine.
Yeah, that's my boy Jax, but it is awesome, and I'm definitely going to get one. Every religion tracked to a serpent.
Yeah, there's something in there always.
There's something to the idea of the serpent, but look at the scriptures and what they actually say. That's all I'm saying. Because what the modern Christian church has done is they've propped up the idea that there's this evil bad guy running around called the devil. And anytime you do anything wrong, it's not actually your fault. The devil tricked you into doing it. No. You did it, bro. You did it. You didn't stand up tall and remain strong and then fulfill your responsibility to overcome temptation. You did it. Not some magic bad guy that's doing everything to you. And actually the Torah and the Tanakh very explicitly explain to you that Jehovah actually makes evil as well. Okay, and so this is just the intrinsic duality and the balance within everything. The metaphysical equation must be balanced. That's how you have the perceivable material world in a functionality of order. If you follow that, right? I know some people say I'm a little wordy, but that's just the way. That's the only way I can get my thoughts out. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. In the English Bible, the serpent didn't really lie. Mr. Anderson, please stop saying that, bro. Yeah, because of not understanding that a day is like 1,000 years. And did he not lie? This is anyway, who cares? Screw the English Bible is super gravel. Okay, we're talking about like the actual Hebrew etymology. I don't want to argue on behalf of the KJV anyway, so it doesn't matter. But actually, that's just a misconception. He says that you'll surely die in this day, and while a day is like 1,000 years, and then some say 1,000 years is equated to.
Yeah, but also I think he's also making the point like it wasn't really a lie that she will become like El or whatever, but trying to be El outside of Yah's will is, there's nothing good coming out of that. Because if you separate yourself from the existence, then the end result is you cease to exist.
Yeah, but you actually can't exalt yourself up to the one true creator status. So that isn't real. You can. You can't actually have that power. So he did lie, but he isn't a thing. That's the whole point of this stream. So I don't even want to talk about the stupid. I'm not going to argue on behalf of like mainstream Christianity that misinterprets every part of the scriptures, because that's what they do. And I'm just in a process of learning things. I'm not going to argue on behalf of misinterpretation. When you look at the Hebrew, it actually makes less sense when you look at it as some bad guy that comes tricks you. And actually, there's evidence looking at different versions of the Tanakh, etc., where it says like, or even this is in the Hebrew Matthew, I think it is. It's like the Satan, right? Basically, like the Satan. What is that? What does that mean? How does that work?
That which is opposed.
Yeah, it's the opposition. That which is opposed. That which is in opposition to the will of the Father.
When Peter is talking to Yeshua and he's like, "No, I don't want you to be crucified. I don't want you to die." And he's like, "Get thee behind me, Satan." He didn't turn into Satan. He just became opposed to the will of the Father.
He was opposition. Exactly. And that's what it means. In opposition to. You can be saying, stop blaming all of your mistakes on some mystical bad guy. Also, you have the power of manifestation. So whenever you're saying things like demons are attacking me and all this stuff, like watch out what you're saying, bro. Watch out what you're believing, because you can actually make these things happen. That's the way I see it. And anytime the modern Christian church has propped up an idea a whole lot, you can almost guarantee yourself it's a lie. Because it was all meticulously crafted to keep you from the actual truth of the scriptures. And they love to blame the bad guy, the devil. You didn't do anything. The devil's attacking you. The devil's making you do bad things. Watch out for the temptation of the devil. Well, watch out for not conquering your own mind, your own metaphysical capabilities, your own intuition, your own ability to divine. That's what it is. You're a very strong metaphysical creature, if you want to call it that, and you need to use the instructions to rein it in with responsibility, or it's a dangerous game that you're playing. And they love to tell you about how demons are going to get you, and demons are bad, and they're walking around ready for you, and they always attack you and all that stuff. Because if you believe it, well, you can actually cause it to happen. But yeah, there is opposition to the will of the Father, right? And so we must overcome that opposition as in anything not in line with the will of the Father. It isn't very complicated. You can see that only modern Christianity and churchianity has made these things complicated. So don't worry. On this channel, we're going to rip back some of this veil, and we're going to start to look at the simplicity in the divinity that is all around us and in the scriptures outlined for us. And actually, you'll find out it starts to make a lot more sense. Although I know that, trust me, I get it, because I was raised Baptist. It's a bit of a it's a bit much at first, because you're just like, whoa, you might have a few waves of cognitus going on here, but whatever. The truth will set you free, bruh. The greatest secrets of life are written from the right to the left. Indeed. They even got us writing the actual words the opposite way. Worshiping the creation instead of the creator is deception. Well said, Just Jack Flat Earth. Let's see. Wow, didn't Yeshua tell us when he told those that were related to Abraham by blood that they were of their father, the devil, because they didn't do the deeds of Abraham?
Oh, y'all gotta check out Hebrew Gospel of Matthew. There's a lot of twists in the Greek, man.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we've been doing a lot is I've been watching this. So
the version, like he says, the Satan. Okay, so first of all, it says the Ruach led Yeshua to be tempted, not the Satan led Yeshua to be tempted. But then he was tempted by the opposition, and the opposition is everything that opposes Yah. He was tested with power. He was tested with authority. He was tested with greed. So that is one thing. So in KJV, it says devil. Well, devil is the one that performs evil. Well, Satan is opposition. It's so not evil.
Why'd they change it? Why'd they change it? If it says the Satan, right? Why would they change it to like the devil? Like just saying devil, like it's an entity when it says like it's really literally saying the opposition to the Father. Why is it changed? So guys, all I'm saying is you've got to be humble here. You're going to have to get rid of your churchianity. This is not for everyone, I don't think, because if you can't swallow your pride, just like I can't talk to some astrophysics professor and tell him everything that he's been taught for the last 20 years is a lie because he has too much pride in it. He has too much reputation at stake. He has too much of his life devoted to going around and judging other people or talking down to them or touting their credentials or whatever it is that he can't accept. This is the same thing. I'm not talking to anyone specific with that comment. I'm not talking to you that made the comment specifically because that's a reasonable question, because a lot of the questions are going to come up that you're going to be like, wait, what's going on? But every time you dig in a lot deeper, you find out that it's a lie. And modern Christianity's interpretation of all of the scriptures is a lie. It's okay. It's because it's the truth. This should be reassuring to you, certainly if you've had a real personal connection and relationship and he knows your heart if you're growing. But it just is what it is, guys. Like, just accept that you've been lied to, and not everything in modern Christianity is real. And this should make sense to you anyway. If the path to destruction is wide and many are on it, and then the path to life is narrow, but if you find it, well, there's a church on every corner, bruh. So it's time that we kind of suck it up and realize that, yeah, the doctrines that are being taught,
very few find the door, even fewer walk through it. It's if you go to church and listen to your pastor and that's the extent of your knowledge of scripture, you're in trouble. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, so
crack the book, read it for yourself, get a concordance, get a dictionary. And, the base dictionary would be a Strong's Concordance, but if you want to go a little bit deeper, get the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible, where you can see the root words of all Hebrew words, and then you can figure it out. I mean, it's been so construed by, people think that Christianity is outside of the Catholic Church, but, even in the Catechism, they say the reason that they worship on Sunday is because they're still part of the Roman Catholic Church. All of the doctrines that came out of Catholicism is what's in Christianity today. The only thing that they took out is, a few rules like, not worshiping idols or praying to dead people or stuff like that. But even Austin, he went to a Christian church, not a Catholic church, where there was a statue of Jesus. And he says, isn't that idolatry? And he says, that's not a statue, that's Jesus. Dude, does he even know what he's saying?
No, he doesn't. He just regurgitating the doctrine of men. That's what a bunch of people in here do, and a bunch of the same people come in here and do it every time. And then they get their misconception of their doctrine thoroughly dismantled on the spot, right after spamming the chat. And then they come back and they start spamming doctrine again, as if they have some moral high ground here. Guys, I was taught this. I know I can argue your argument better than most of you guys can. I was raised Baptist. You guys know I can kind of debate. So I looked at this honestly, and I'm having to walk some things back, but there's no shame in being wrong about things. There's only shame in being so arrogant that you've been telling so many people that your pride won't let you admit that maybe you were wrong. For example, there is a Hebrew Matthew, and we're watching in depth. I'm watching in depth them break down the Hebrew Matthew, every single aspect of it in depth, right? Comparing it to the Greek manuscripts. For one, do you think that Yeshua was going around and he was predominantly speaking in Greek? Is that what you think? And that all of the transcripts were written in Greek way after the fact? No. Just like everything, the Romans took it, absorbed it, and tainted it like his very name, like the very title of Christianity. And now in the Vatican junk drawer, we have a Hebrew version of Matthew, right? And it has some distinctive differences. And it's actually just removing contradictions. Just like I explained to you guys in a few streams ago, where one of the contradictions that's in the Greek isn't there in the Hebrew, that seems to clearly predate the Greek, right? Whenever they say, it says, listen to what the Pharisees say, but don't do what they do. And then right after that, it says, don't listen to what the Pharisees say. But the truth is they made one little swoop different, right? They made one little stroke of the pen different. They changed the he to they, and he is referring to Moses, who, basically they sit in the seat of Moses, right? They literally used to sit in a seat of Moses for the Mosaic law, saying that they now have authority to add on to the law because he was given the instructions. Moses was given the instructions. So it says, listen to what Moses says. Don't do what the Pharisees do. And then right after that, it says, don't listen to the Pharisees. That's not a contradiction in the Hebrew, right? The actual original language, because that's what his name is. It's Hebrew. That's what the Torah was written in. Paleo, that's Hebrew, right? That is actually the actual language that this was originally written in. And then the Romans have come in and tainted it. And then they absorbed Christianity, try to take it over by force because they couldn't make it go away. The followers of Yeshua, right? So then they changed a whole bunch of stuff, and then they threw in these suffixes. They changed the name. They made their own version of churchianity, basically, which is evolved into now, right? And they called it Christianity. They came up with their own name and everything, integrated with their polytheistic practices, integrated it in with their Sunday festivals they already had, their pagan festivals. They took the whole story, they changed it. They took the manuscripts and changed it too. So if they to not be honest and admit that it's actually very hyperlogical that there's a Hebrew version of this New Testament that has been grappled and is probably in the possession of the Vatican would be insanely dishonest, because we just found a Hebrew version of the Gospel of Matthew that was in the Vatican junk drawer. Okay. And there are thousands of scripts. It takes all kinds of going in and looking and finding them. And no one ever did, because, the Jews, they don't really go study the New Testament very often, right? Because they don't care about it. So this Hebrew just sat there. No one's gone through it. And now we live in the time of things being revealed and knowledge is increasing. Yeah. Exactly. People will come to and fro, knowledge will increase. It's happening right here in front of you. So it's just, he's calling his people, and it's going to be a remnant of people that are willing to be humble and accept the truth as they learn it, as it's revealed, as we're ready. And we weren't ready for some of these truths. He had to wake us up to the very nature of the earth for us to be ready for some truths that we're coming. There's a process, and Jehovah's in control of it. He knows we're in the midst of a great deception over the course of generations, and he's waking us up. And if you have a humble spirit and want to know the truth, then you'll be able to wake up to some of these revelations. If you do not, you're going to go down swinging, and I just encourage you not to do that.
Yeah, so someone asked me online to type it in chat. So I typed in Strong's Concordance and the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. And then I put software that's free on Windows or Android. It's paid for Apple. And it's e-sword.net. A lot of good information there. If you want to learn some Hebrew, the root words of Hebrew and so on in the ancient, it's ancienthebrew.org. I got to find out the exact... I'll put that in the chat as well, but that'll help a lot as well. Give me 1 second. It'll be in the chat.
So yeah, and you guys, you have to admit that the fact that they're obsessed with they're like tranny Baphomet, it's starting to make a lot more sense whenever you understand that they grappled the actual Hebrew etymology of Genesis. Like, let's just be real. And so that's a totally different story than you were told, dude. Were you ever told that Adam wasn't in the garden? A lot of you will say that you were and that you knew, but no, in the churches they don't teach that, bro. But like, he was picked up. It's just a small detail, but it's different. He was put in the garden, okay? And it tells you that their name was Adam, pre-fall, right? And that they were told to be fruitful and multiply in that state. How they do that? And then that the conception would increase and that birth pain would increase, right? And now your responsibility as the female is to bear children, right? And that was a repercussion.
Whoever heard in church that the conception increases, they only hear about the pain birth. They never hear about the conception increases as well.
Exactly.
All right, so the first one is where you can learn Hebrew. It gives you a good bare bones ancient Hebrew perspective, and then the eSword.net is a good Bible study tool. There's a bunch of different versions there for whatever electronic device you have.
I don't understand the argument about pressure next to a vacuum because it's practically a vacuum 20 miles up, bro. I think this stream's a little deeper than your incapability of understanding the second law. But
yeah, I remember when they said that as soon as you leave Earth's atmosphere, it's like, they got to go tens of thousands of miles away to get to the moon. But now they say the atmosphere goes beyond the moon.
Yeah, but I'm not sure even what are you asking? I don't understand the argument about pressure next to a vacuum because it's practically a vacuum 20 miles up. Like, it's not, what is practically a vacuum? That's a theoretical concept of an area void of material. That doesn't actually exist, but they claim there's a pressurized system adjacent to a near perfect vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 torr. The point is, if there isn't some eventual containment, the pressure will fill the available space. It always does. Entropy will always increase, instantaneously seeking equilibrium. So the pressure would fill the available space. You can't have a high pressure system adjacent to a low pressure system. It's not complicated. Open up a soda and then we debunk the heliocentric model. That's not what this stream is about, though. Awesome. Thank you. You need a barrier for vacuuming, of course. My man Jack coming in with the gravy links. Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're not just over here just like telling you stuff that like, oh, what's the craziest thing I can come up with about the scriptures?
Dude, I know how crazy it sounds. I had to work on this for years. It took me a year, 1 full year, to translate the first book of Genesis or the first chapter of Genesis, because, when the first word, it says Bereshit, Barash is in the head, and then they just ignore the eat. And then what I did is I look at the root words. Bet Resh Aleph means create, and then the Shin Yod Tav means establish or set in place. Creation set in place. How is that? Why wouldn't they translate it like that?
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, bro, please stop saying the whole like, oh, it's just all allegorical and all that stuff. Because, bro, have you studied the Hebrew and have you looked into it? Because even before that, I could prove the historical value of the actual accounts in the compilation of the scriptures. So, like, stop just trying to hand-wave dismiss it because it's easier for you to say it's all metaphor allegorical, because no, it's layered with metaphysical truth, but it is a literal account of what has happened. There's a literal list of instructions to show you how to maneuver this deception and to acquire your capabilities and to get right with the Father. There's one true creator, is Jehovah. They hate his name, they hide his name, they know the power in his name, right? And it just... Dude, either you want to know the truth or you don't. If you're going to go down swinging with your current knowledge because you think that you can make a pretty convincing argument about how it's all allegorical Gnostic knowledge, then that's a cool story, but you're not there yet. And so please don't try to like distract people in the stream from the actual content by saying the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I just want to share something else. Like if any of you have ever seen like writings done by Jews, it kind of like gives you a hint, because whenever they write God, even though that's not his name, that's a title that's actually named after a prosperity deity of Babylon. But every time they write G-D. And every time they call him Lord, they go L-RD. Well, what's that letter that they remove from there? It's called the Cholam. The Cholam that gives you the O sound. That's why Yehovah is so, it's forbidden by all of Judaism.
Yeah,
they don't care if you call him Yahweh. They're not even, they don't bat an eyelash if you do that.
Yeah, which is about Jupiter. I asked if Enoch was allegory. I didn't claim every single word was allegory. Yeah, no, that's cool, bro. I'm not like clapping on you, Mr. Anderson, but I'm just saying, like, in general, I don't like. Let's just stay focused here, guys. We're talking about the fact that the scriptures have been changed, and let's discuss what we're discussing, right? we're not talking about Enoch. I'm not talking about Enoch right now. But yeah, here you go. He explained to you that God, G-A-D, God, pronounced exactly the same. They just changed a little bit, made you still say it. Put it on the back of your dollar bill. It's the Babylonian deity for fortune and luck. I should tell everyone, look, it's abbreviation for Gadrael. Well, the Gnostic teachings do teach the idea of, being able to manifest a metaphysical thing, and it's named Gadrael. So yeah, they've layered their deception, and no, God is not the true creator. That's why every single famous person loves to say, I'd love to thank God for this award.
Gadrael would be El is my prosperity. El is my riches.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's literally on the back of your dollar bill. Like it's on the back of your money, because that's what it's about. So no, I just guys, let's just talk. I will say
there's no such thing as a vacuum.
I was big on the extra biblical things as well, but now I'm realizing, bro, just the Torah alone has been so grappled. It requires a lot of time and effort for us to get to the bottom of this. And then you stack on top of that the Gospels, and there are Hebrew version, and just the Hebrew version of Matthew is tons of information. I'm talking hour to hour and a half streams back to back to back on 2x, and it just never ends. It's so much information. It's not unnecessary information. This requires diligence and wanting to really know the truth and a humble spirit. We have to acknowledge that maybe we were tricked about some things, bro. They tricked you. They had billions and trillions of dollars to do this. They had all of higher academia, and they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years to build the deceptions about what we're learning. So we're going to fight back now. You feel what I'm saying? That's what we're doing. We're fighting back. We're getting to the truth. I want people that really want to know the truth, but they saw the flaws in modern Christianity. I want them to still be able to get right with the Father. I want them to realize how real this is, how much He changed my life, how much He's guiding me and protecting me and providing for me. And I feel the Spirit, He actually touches you. It's a very real thing. This is not some fairy tale. It's very, very real. And I love so many people in this chat. I want them to realize how real it is, and I want them to have the same thing. I don't want to get in some churchianity arguments about these doctrines of this denomination, all the psychopaths that give their authority all over to the government, and they all say the Old Testament doesn't count except for when we want to ask you for tithing. All of a sudden we're going to go back to the Torah because we want your money. All of a sudden the law does count when it comes to tithing. None of that matters. I just want you guys to realize how real this is, and I know a lot of people are going to be able, if they're willing to be humble and step into it with some faith, as in have the faith enough to just actually seek it out, they're going to fit right in. Because all it requires in this day and age is humility and being willing to learn as you go and admit what you didn't know and then keep seeking out the truth. That's what most of us do anyway, right? So I just want the people that are on the edge or have been pushed away from with modern Christianity to realize how real this is, how important this is, how Jehovah the Father loves you, and He wants to have a personal relationship. He's not just some unidentified energy that doesn't. No, there's a personal relationship here, and He loves you. And it's like a father figure, okay? And I want you guys to realize that, because he's gonna bless you, and He wants to have a communion with you. So that's my point. I just want to break through to those people. I'm not here to break through to the people that are effectively the Christian physicists that aren't going to listen to me tell them, well, the second law debunks your model. If they can't accept it because of their reputation or for their years of what they've been touting to other people, let the dead bury the dead. And unfortunately, that requires me to clap on some people within the truth community itself, but it is what it is. I don't do this for money or notoriety or likes. I just speak the truth unequivocally. The beast is the lion and the leopard and the bear. Jehovah is the lion and the leopard. And Yahweh is the lion, the leopard, and the bear. Okay, sorry, I just naturally, instinctively have to update Yahweh. But that's pretty interesting. I can't say that that's true or not true. I don't know. That the beast is the lion and leopard and the bear. Yahweh is the lion, leopard, and the bear. I can't really say that. It doesn't make a lot of sense because it's attributed to Jupiter. So they don't care if you say Yahweh.
Yahweh Peter.
They just don't want you to say Yehovah. That's what they don't want you to say.
And Yahuwah's just as bad to them. So
yeah, Yahuwah, which is a dialect difference. They don't like that one either. I am leaning towards Jehovah, right? Because first, for one, initial resonance of how it struck with me, because walking in the Spirit's real, guys, and He'll just kind of show you things, and then you got to figure out, why did I know this or whatever. But in addition to that, there's just way more historical evidence for it that has confirmed it. And literally, all of these powerful structures, like the Catholic Church and modern Judaism, they've hidden this. They know this is what it is. They don't want you to speak it. They don't want you to know it. Anyway, either way, it's not Yahweh, right? We need to stop saying the terms that they tricked us into saying, like a Talmudic curse on the Messiah, Jesus Christ, or just say Christ over and over. What? And actually, he was really, it's not even technically anointed. It was the closest word they had, right? Which means Grease, correct?
Yeah, it's the what they would call when they grease their shields. That would be Christos.
Right. And so, like, just even if you
And
just
typically
interpret,
made from pig fat, nevertheless.
yeah, of course it is. If you just interpret like Christ even to mean just anointed either way, it's just a title.
I mean, how different is that from Crisco? Hello, folks.
Yeah, if you're just gonna say like Christ and Lord, and these are just titles, like Lord meaning master, right? Like even though it has some actual, even there's some gravel with that, tracking back to Baal, right? Baal.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So basically, every single term they've propped up, and they took his real name out 6,828 times, and they just gave you a whole bunch of titles. Well, if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't have a real personal relationship. It doesn't really matter that you say these different names that have been given to you over and over. What exactly are you worshiping? You know, like, and dare I say, there's like metaphysical importance to some of these things that we're saying because there's a vibrational pattern that comes out. And certainly when you say it with conviction. Now, I don't want people to really spiral. I know that the creator of all things, he supersedes semantics. He knows your heart. And it literally says if you accidentally call him by the wrong name, he's going to search your heart out and he's going to know if you're sincere. So it's cool. But if you've been on my stream for like 3 weeks, you keep hearing me break down how the Talmudic curse on his name, may his name and remembrance be blotted out, and you just refuse to even research it or be honest about it. You just want to keep saying it because you've just been telling everyone the word Jesus Christ over and over. Now you're kind of getting in dangerous territory because there's forgiveness and ignorance, but you've been watching Witsit Gets It stream. Like we've been talking about it, like we've been talking that Yahweh tracks back to Jupiter. We'll give you the information. So really it's a double-edged sword being here, but if you want to know the truth, then it shouldn't be a problem. And we should want to respect the creator and the Messiah to not call them out of their name. And it's habits to break. It's a habit to break saying God. Like I don't say it anymore now. I don't remember the last time I even slipped up saying it. I just effortlessly I've replaced it efficiently with Yah, right? The shortened poetic form of the creator's name. But it took a while, and sometimes I still say it for intents and purposes to people, right? But I always will do this when I say God now. It's just a process that we can work through, but it's at least just actually wanting to get to the truth. That's hands down the most important part. And if you're just going to go down swinging and not changing anything and say it doesn't matter, like, I don't know, I don't have to disagree.
Says here, wasn't the Bible translated in its original language until Martin Luther? No, it went through many translation periods. It went through... there's Arabic translations, there's Greek translations, there's Latin translations, all before Martin Luther came around. When Martin Luther came around, he translated it into German, and they hated him for it. But by the time that Martin Luther was around, they said that Latin was the holy tongue, which is neither Hebrew nor Greek. So it's all hijacked.
Thank you, Austin. We love you. I love you. What's up, Karen B? Karen B is a legend, of course. Hey, Austin, I really appreciate what you're doing. I don't comment a lot, but just thought I'd tell you I'm currently a Baptist preacher, but I've realized now is the time to get back to the real truth. Wow, that sounds awesome.
Man.
That's incredible. I love to hear that.
It's rough. I met a guy who was a Lutheran pastor, and he had a congregation of about 1,000 people, and then he taught that he thinks that the Spirit is important to our relationship with the Creator, and his congregation went from 1,000 down to 100. And then he started teaching keeping the Sabbath, and he went from a congregation of 100 down to 10. And finally, the Lutheran Church says that you can't teach on Saturday because Sunday is our identity. So he ended up having to go and create a building for himself outside of the Lutheran.
Wow, that was awesome to hear, guys. So there you go. We got an hour. I know you guys want to keep kicking it, but here I just kind of like machine gun style you, and then I can't really do that for like 3.5, 4 hours. I know some people do 4 or 5 hour streams. It's just I don't do streams like that. I just go at a little bit quicker pace. And we covered it pretty thoroughly. We could talk for hours and hours, but I'm not feeling it. I don't trust Jesus, a transliteration of a transliteration. I'm sticking with Yahusha. Yeah, I don't trust transliterations of transliterations either, and I'm much more cool with Yahusha, bro. Trust me, like I'm cool with that. Got no beef with that one. Yeah, it looks like Yeshua to me, but it's no big deal. It wasn't Jesus. It wasn't Jesus.
Right.
And of course, you should just the fact that the J was created just a few hundred years ago. The Roman Catholic Church is the ones that created that name, and there's a Talmudic interpretation. May his name and remembrance be blotted out, and it's effectively a curse on him. If you really love him and respect him, why would you ever continue to do that without researching it and seeking out the truth?
As far as Alicia Stout saying seems legalistic. Okay. What happens at the end? Everybody stands before the what seat? Oh, the judgment throne? Oh, so that's a judge, like a court? oh, you have someone who's causing an accusation and then one who is the defender for you? Oh, that sounds very legalistic.
There's power in the name.
gosh.
There's power in the name. There's power in the name. Swear on my name. Swear by my name. Power in the name. Oh, no, don't. Just make up his name, even if it's
Just
a
call him
curse.
Lord. Just call him Lord.
Yeah. Many will say unto me, Lord, Lord.
We're being sarcastic, folks.
Yeah, but many will say unto me, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we prophesy in your name? Depart from me, for I never knew you. Okay,
you
so
who work
iniquity.
Iniquity, which is anomia, which means without the Torah.
Right, which is what people would say lawless. And of course, they do know how to translate it properly whenever they do the man of lawlessness, referring to the Antichrist figure. But it seems like they forgot how to translate it when it comes to that verse, where it literally shows you being turned away. All of a sudden, no, we'll change it. Iniquity, we'll create this idea of it meaning just doing bad things. Like, no, it means going against the Torah. That anyone who says that they love me, this is what I hate misquoting this, but anyone that says that they know me and keep not my commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in them. It doesn't really seem like they miss words there very much. So
yeah, and as far as who's on the judgment seat, and it being Jesus, read it again. Yeshua's the defender, so the one on the judgment seat is the creator.
Yeah, Yehovah. Gospel of Thomas or not? No, bro, absolutely not. It is in the Gnostic circles for sure, but we already explained to you these guys.
I think somewhere in there it says Muhammad's Messiah.
These guys literally want to find a way to conquer the duality of gender. Like, these people are actually kind of crazy. When I say kind of, they're like legitimately psychopaths. So we're just going to break through, and we're going to have to increase in knowledge. And we're told this is going to happen. We're told this is going to happen in the end. So it's really a blessing to be alive right now, because just a few decades ago, they weren't ready for this truth. It wasn't their time. It wasn't time for them to get this truth. So it's a blessing and a curse. This is the great divide. And you're going to either go down swinging, or you're just going to be like, I'm going to have to walk some things back, man. You're going to have to walk some things back. It's not a big deal. All right, we're wrapping this up. I love you guys. Gospel of Thomas is garbage. This is correct. All right, let me check donations, see if there's anything, and then I'm going to basically do one of my real quick recaps, and then get out of here. You guys like the hoodie? Hopefully some of you are spiraling so we can weed out some people that are in the wrong saloon. All right, let's come over here. Jacob. I don't even want to read that, bro. Let's just say, let's do it for Yah, bud. Or let's take out Hasatan for Yah, bud. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the support and the super chat. Much love, Jacob. My boy Michael Lyon always coming through. Much love, bro. I can't read Hebrew that well. This is a Babylonian cuneiform.
Mm-hmm. This is actually modern. This is what do you call it? Oh my gosh, I forget what it's called.
Oh man, it's
where they have two vowels. That's not like typical Hebrew. That's the later one where, like people in New York when they write like that. I was talking to you about that the other day.
Yeah, you know what's trash?
There's 5 different freaking Hebrews. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's
and
annoying.
It's like really so Moses wrote the Torah in Paleo, right? So this would be just a second. I'll show you. It's just really aggravating because I'm learning Hebrew, but in order to do this, I have to learn the Babylonian cuneiform just so I can read what everything's printed in modern times. I have to learn it to be able to actually read Hebrew in modern times. And that wasn't even, it's not even like it's not even real Hebrew, bro. It's like the Babylonian Grabbler version. It's really kind of frustrating, but I'll show you guys a difference here. I hope this won't be inverted on the stream, but I'm trying to remember. In a world, actually don't remember. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see this, but there you go. See, that's the paleo version of the name. This might be backwards. Anyway, what are you gonna do? I think I might have. And then here we go with like some of the modern version. Whatever.
Yeah, it says Barashit.
Right. You see, it's a totally different language. That's my point. And they love Babylon. And by the way, like, the Grabbler's favorite version of the Talmud is the Babylonian Talmud. Probably just coincidence. They love Babylon, and I showed you Georgia Guidestones. They're trying to rebuild Babylon. They've effectively started to do it right now. Babylon is modern society, guys. That's what it is, and it's being rebuilt to maybe its final form. But anyways, the Aleph Bet has so much gravy. Yeah, it really does. Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to sacred geometry. All right. Thank you for the support, guys. Much love. Y'all are the best. Let me come back over here. Make sure there's nothing over here. All right, cool. We're good. Yeah, if anybody sends a donation, like after seeing the stream or later or anything like that, we will read at the beginning of the next stream. And yeah, that's about it. So basically the conclusion, let me just kind of wrap it up for you guys. What I explained is basically we talked about Hashamayim. There's unseen existences. People call it like the background medium, the ether. It's all around you. It literally has to be. We even validated that scientifically in the last stream. And if you look at a magnetic field under a Farrell cell, which you're actually just, using Farrell cell imaging to look at the movement within this medium, right, of magnetism, you'll see everything is about duality. The natural intrinsic balance of energy is duality, reciprocation. Energy cannot exist without reciprocation is what I used to always say. So they know that that's the natural order of things, and everything's about vibration. Everything is vibration, frequency, energy, right? And so if they have these little Gnostic understandings of overcoming and more so mastering duality. And this transcends all the way into gender itself, as of course everyone has seen the typical depiction of their little, I guess we could say, deity, Baphomet here, transcending the duality of gender itself. And then I explained that if you actually look at the etymology of the Hebrew, and you can even go look in King James Version, it will say their name Adam. Their name Adam or Adam. So that's a plural, right? So basically pre-fall, they're in a metaphysical form that combine the duality of gender. That it was actually pre-separation of gender because their name was Adam. Okay. So the duality of gender was conquered in our perfect metaphysical enlightened state pre-fall. They think that they have little practices and Gnostic teachings that can help them acquire that metaphysical state where they can actually conquer the duality of gender as well. And then basically they'd be untouchable and effectively be a god themselves. Of course, they think that collectively they are Lucifer. So they actually seem to have a better understanding of the Hebrew etymology of the Genesis account than most of the people that think that they know all about the scriptures. And that's kind of one of the things that makes them think that they're special boys, because they think that they have the practices where they can actually satisfy the fleshly desires, but still get the metaphysical power in the end. And they're on the pathway in their mind of attaining this perfect original metaphysical state where there was the duality of gender in one, and that they will be able to master this. So I just felt like that's a lot of gravy. Take it in, take it or leave it. But it's very interesting, and this is like early on in the Torah, right? Like they've graveled so much of it. We'll talk much more in depth about a lot of the conceptions, answer a lot of questions when we do like Shabbat streams, but I just want to kind of ladle that gravy. So it is all about duality. There's a truth to that, but the best thing to do is humble yourself, get right with the Father, get back to the Torah, look at the instructions. They're here to help you, not to hurt you. And trust me, you won't understand it till you do it. Just like I showed you guys, like if you had told me that I should put these on, I would be like, what are you talking about? That sounds stupid. But now, like, I want them on everything. I know they're super important, and it's spiritually important, and I just can't explain how I know it's so important, but I know it is, just like I will never shave my beard again. So these are things that really, from the outside, I understand why you're like, wait, what's going on? But, I have to rest once a week. No, I get to rest, okay? There's a good example for you. It's all about perception, and once you get there, you'll understand it.
Tomorrow we'll be resting at a waterfall.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to go take Shabbat at a waterfall. It's going to be awesome. So I love you guys. Thanks for kicking it with us. Thanks for not spiraling too hard. Hope I didn't go too hard on anyone. I'm just assertive. Don't mistake the assertion for aggression. It's out of love. I want to break through certain cognites. That's actually why I made the thumbnail kind of where I thought it might trigger some people to kind of shake up your cognites. But most people here are pretty base. So I dig the beard too. Sweet. All right. I'm going to catch up with you on the flip side like a coin toss. Thanks for kicking it. Let me find the stream outro. Yeah, and seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance, and actually rejoice when they revile you for his name's sake, for they did that to all the prophets before him. Whereas a badge of honor, weak-minded people get together and they throw stones at the strong, independent thinkers for like all recorded history. It's no big deal. It's a time of things being revealed. Let's humble ourselves, but let's also just, actually be strong and confident and bold while we go pursue this truth that's going to be required of us in the end. I love you guys. I'm going to catch you up on the flip side.
Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sip pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock and twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it if news anchors informants who informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we port and ships important. Yes, of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informant this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?